Welcome to Ed's Not Dead. I'm Robbie Dodd. I'm joined by my co-hosts, Mr. C.H. Siddons.
This is such a new format. Are you excited for this casual Good Morning America format?
I'm in charge of what's the board called? What's it called?
The soundboard?
Yeah, the soundboard. I'm in charge of the soundboard.
This is so good.
And we're sitting at a relaxed couch and chair, and I'm looking at Peter Crable.
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning.
I feel like we're on The View.
As always, Ed's Not Dead is brought to you by Ed's Not Dead Media, a full-service educational media company focusing on leadership, instruction, and 21st century school reform. Fellas, it's kind of funny to say. We're glad to be back.
Good to be back.
Yeah.
I haven't read that ad since February of 2024.
I do get a lot of questions. Where are we?
So we, a friend of the pod and my friend Eric Gersey has said that we have a production problem.
We do have a production problem.
I assume there is none. I will be honest that I've gone on strike about doing Zoom.
That's fair.
Yeah. I just say, I do not want to chat with you all on the computer screen anymore.
That's fair.
I'm done with it.
He's been pretty difficult about it.
He's been very ornery.
Because we probably could have recorded over the
Multiple
last
times.
10 months, and you have said no. And to be fair, for our audience, we've always recorded here in the man cave.
True.
And I have two socially maladapted dogs,
Terrible.
and so that has made things more difficult.
Yeah. And then 2/3 of us happen to be more busy than 1/3 of us.
Yeah.
Everybody figure out
Who's the 1/3?
I don't know. I'm just throwing out there just random numbers.
Well, we have a great and short show because we're a little rusty.
Yeah, we want to get the listeners back into it.
Yeah, it's going to be a short show.
More relaxed format.
And lots has changed. So we're going to spend a little bit of time at the beginning of the show talking about how our lives have changed over the last 10 months. And we are also going to talk about there was an election in November.
There was.
And I feel like we spent a tremendous amount of time for 4 years on Betsy DeVos.
We did.
The Secretary of Education.
A lot of worry and concern.
In the first Trump administration.
Mm-hmm.
And then...
So much so that someone created sound effects.
And then 4 completely unremarkable years in the Biden administration. We lost Betsy, and I'm embarrassed to say that, what was his name?
Miguel Cardona.
Miguel Cardona. He did not provide us a lot of content.
Didn't really move the needle.
Did not move the needle. And now we're back.
We're back.
And we have Linda McMahon.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about his I guess appointment for Secretary of Ed, Linda McMahon. There's an article by Frederick Hess, a good old conservative educational writer, and we'll talk a little bit about that in this next half hour. Before we do that,
We started the pod. Do you know why we started the pod?
Why or where?
Why we started the pod?
It was my idea.
It was. And do you know in what context?
Remember, I wanted to do a YouTube thing.
Yeah, it wasn't going to work.
Okay.
She was like, well, it's not going to work.
But that was
on television.
That was the kernel. I know. None of us are attractive. Go ahead. Why did we start it?
Well, it started with the first Trump administration.
Did we start in 2016?
That was 2017.
2017.
About the need to do something?
I think it was there was a need to have our voices heard.
Our voices were very important.
And still are very important.
Yeah.
We just decided to take a break because it was heating up the education speak across the nation.
Well, education was very boring.
It was very boring.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that though.
So it's safe to say that the first episode was 7 years ago. It was the summer of 17.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was a god awful.
It was a terrible episode.
Do you
But
remember
Crable did
that?
Great amount of editing.
There was
He spent a long time.
And I said I will never do that again.
Yeah. And then we cleaned up our act.
We got pop filters.
We did.
We did. And
All
then
the peas didn't sound
No peas.
blowy.
it's starting to sound like this might be our last show ever. So let's
Oh my God.
Okay.
Well, I mean, let's just keep looking back. So then if we started in 2017, what was the sweet spot in Ed's Not Dead?
But right before the pandemic, I think Randy Weingarten in a bag of chips.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That
So
was
what-
the highlight.
So was that 2020?
That was 2019.
Yeah,
29,
we
yeah.
went through a really hot streak of pretty big names of the people we talked to. We talked to that congressman who's in charge of the education
Committee.
committee.
But I will say that
I don't remember his name.
No recollection.
when we were on Zoom though,
We had John Saphir.
we did.
Yeah.
And what I'm saying is like we
Did?
switched to Zoom.
Yeah, we had John Saphir.
We did.
Remember we had the geriatric lineup for like a year. Tomlinson,
We had-
Saphir.
Tomlinson was a fierce interview though.
Oh, what about
She was very sparky.
What about Ravitch?
Diane Ravitch.
We had
right?
Diane
Right.
Ravitch
Right.
about
Her
left
too?
left back.
Great. Yeah.
Gosh.
And I will just say who gets top billing is the best guest we ever.
Loretta Hammond.
Yes.
Without a doubt.
Without a doubt.
We all three agree on.
And I will say that Zoom allowed a lot of that to happen.
Yeah.
A lot more guests to happen that we wouldn't normally know.
It's easier.
These people were stuck at home and they were answering my emails because they had nothing else to do. And
Yeah.
like, oh, I guess I'll come. You
This
seem
is-
like you got your.
Did we really hear Randy Weingarten eating chips when she was on hold?
Well, that wasn't recorded, but now that's public knowledge, and hopefully,
Yes, well, we'd have gone to all the lengths to record with her. Then when nothing worked, when we were
she was so kind.
she
about
was
them. They were so
incredibly kind.
Yes.
It was
Yes.
very nice of her.
It was.
To reschedule.
So we're still fully committed to the show.
Well, I think we are. I am.
And
For the record,
This is
Mr.
much easier.
Mr.
It
Krabs,
doesn't require me hauling a 3-foot by 2-foot soundboard over here. I
This-
just need to record.
this-
let's hope that it works.
this soundboard is much smaller. What's this contraption called?
It's it's just a camera that just helps you can record things and
He
It's a
clearly
proprietary property.
he clearly
We can't use their name.
he clearly doesn't want to say what it is.
I don't want to have any lawsuits.
Peter, credit where credit's due.
Yeah.
You're the musician, you're the one with bands.
Sure.
There's always the guy in the band or the person in the band that keeps it together.
Yeah.
Got to give cred to Mr. Siddons over
Oh,
here,
Yes.
right?
Trying.
You do.
Yeah.
You're very patient.
Trying.
You
Well, the frustration is only seeped through a couple times in 10 months.
and to be fair, we are recording and it's 10:20 at night and we've been together for the last
4 hours.
and we're
3 hours.
finally getting to it because you've pushed us to do it. Anyway, so let's go around the room. Since we're all educators, we're just gonna I'll whip out the equity sticks and just tell us, give us the highlights of your life over the last 10 months, Mr. Siddons.
Oh man. Well, I'm in my sweet spot of the AP life, assistant principalship life.
Highly
Starting at
successful
4.
assistant principal, year 4.
I would say marginally successful. I'm doing pretty well. I'm feeling pretty good about the work. Frida just turned 5,
Rita.
which is very exciting. It's kind of wild. It's going very fast.
She's kindergarten next year.
Yeah, she will be.
Okay.
Yeah. She's speaking fluent Spanish.
There you go.
That's
Very
impressive.
exciting.
That's impressive.
Teaching me Spanish, and I'm just, cruising.
And your bride, Sarah's doing great.
Sarah, she just started a new gig in a charter school in Washington, D.C.
Really?
She's
good.
doing great. And she loves a new challenge, new people, new organization.
Awesome.
And, yeah, it's going well.
And I should announce for our audience that it is almost the holidays.
It is.
Yeah.
Right.
It is
So-
almost the new year.
And you're getting out of town. You're going
Yep.
to West Virginia.
Going to the mountains.
You're gonna do some cross country skiing.
Provided there's some snow there, hopefully.
Well, there has been, right?
Yeah, I'm excited
All
to
right.
get out of town.
Yeah.
Here's the highly successful principal.
Yeah.
Mr. Krabs.
We have become bougie ski people in the last year. Yeah.
Oh, terrible.
Get the epic pass.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're. It's a thing.
Do you have all the accoutrements?
I don't. That's like not my MO. Is like crappy equipment and
That's good.
not.
I respect that.
Yeah, that's fair.
But my kids they look like ski people, and
Are they hooked?
yeah, that was the issue. Is that during the pandemic when we're just trying to find stuff to.
I remember you guys going.
and they they just love it.
Yeah.
So, so we're going to Colorado to ski.
Ooh. Is this the first out west?
We went
all 5 of you trip?
We went once last year.
Okay.
For kind of like an extended weekend, and just again, the kids just smashed and had like the greatest time.
That's
and
awesome.
Beautiful, et cetera, et cetera. So doing that trip again.
That's
Okay,
great.
so we know our children. You have one, so
Yes.
you don't have to worry about that.
Correct.
But our children are not all created equal, and your kids are not going to listen to the pod.
Yeah.
So
this is true.
who has the most skiing potential?
August. Yes.
Really?
Yes. He is fearless and tireless, and just show me whatever it is and I will get down that. And
Wow.
yeah, just no cares in the
Lower center of gravity too. You know?
Yes. I've not seen him have like an epic wipeout,
Yeah.
which I'm sure at some point will come, but yeah, it's pretty great. And Pearl she's 6 now. So when we went out last year, she was 5.
She in first grade?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, but she's she's so small, and you're just like, how do small people ski? And she gets herself down the mountain.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool.
When she wants to, she just falls down and takes a break when she's tired.
I love it.
I would see Mr. Crable at the pool this summer.
Yeah.
And his kids are all into swimming, and he's got all that going on. He's the busiest of the 3 of us.
He's very busy.
I mean, and he's a principal.
Word to the wise: don't sign your kids up for activities, because what you do, it never ends.
Doesn't end.
Just multiplies exponentially. So that was a mistake. Or
just sit them in front of screens. And it's much easier.
Yeah, or just
the whole generation of people were done.
Stay at work late. You know, like make yourself scarce. So if they want you to play with them, say no thanks.
People that want to have more than one child,
I don't do
give
that.
you a lot of credit, because I don't know how y'all do it.
Crable's got 3.
Crazy.
2 is very manageable.
Dr. D.
No,
I'm not
done with you. Look at him.
I felt good. I talked to you. Didn't want to talk about it. I said good stuff.
Just to give us this year 3 or 4 of being a principal.
Year 3, easily the best year so far.
Nice.
The year has started off phenomenally, doing some really cool stuff. Kids are doing great. Staff are doing great. So anyone that's out there, and whether you've been a principal or whatever, year 3 seems to be the money.
The money year.
The money year. You're like, things are happening, and like we're all on the same page.
Yeah.
And I know you and you know me. So like the awkward stuff at the beginning is gone. So it's been
you know what the great Dr. Jerry Wiest used to say, don't you?
I do, actually.
What's that?
Get your dot on the chart. Year 3 is the first year you get your dot on the chart.
You listen to me.
I do.
Over all these
It's so exciting.
So you get your dot on the graph.
This is my year. Yeah.
And he's making scatter plots.
Scatter plots are so nice.
Yeah. Well, this guy.
And they're bubbles.
What?
Big bubbles with names of
triangles?
No
triangles.
So we didn't want to hurt your feelings, but Casey and I got together Saturday night.
Yeah.
And we didn't.
You called me though.
Did I call you?
No, you did.
No, I didn't. Okay. So we got together, and you remember what my take on Crable was? You do not remember.
I was not.
Do you remember my really deep take on what makes Mr. Crable tick?
Put me on the spot. That he's highly competitive.
This is 100% true.
And that he's highly effective at masking it, and he acts like he doesn't care.
It's a rare combination of abilities where you're competitive and you hide it really well, and you're competitive about a lot of stuff.
Yeah. And there's this third ability. He still has this way. He still can Crable. He's Crable, right?
That's true.
Do you want to tell the audience what Crable is?
Well, it's a very delicate way of delegating.
Yes. Okay. So he's
getting out of doing things, and then people volunteering to do them, and then when they're done, they get sucked into doing them.
So anyway, his competitiveness is serving him well because he's really into data,
right?
And he's gung ho on moving his school and improving your school and helping kids,
while also comparing other schools.
Oh, absolutely! He's got
it's everyone.
He's got to be.
I must know where I am.
He sends me an email the other day with his scatter plot.
Yeah.
And I could not tell whether he was being facetious or not in the email because he said, I thought you might like this because you're a data nerd to me. I was like, is he putting me down? Is he? So we need to get to the bottom of that. Were you complimenting me or were you saying that I like data or were you saying you're an idiot? But here, look at this.
No, I think if I meant the latter, I probably would have said the latter. I said, call me later when you need somebody to interpret this for you. No, I think no, it was a compliment of somebody that I thought could, without further explanation, read it and take some amount of meaning from it. I don't know that you're a data nerd. That's not actually.
I'm not a data nerd.
No, but I do think that you are reasonably intelligent enough to look at something like that and understand the implications of what I was sharing.
It was some good. Great.
I didn't think you're a data nerd. That's interesting.
You didn't think of me that way?
No, you don't think of yourself as a data nerd.
No, I don't. I don't.
It took him 3 minutes to find the record button.
Okay,
that's different than knowing how to hit click buttons. I'm going to defend Dr. Dizzle over here.
To be fair, it was blue, and I couldn't see it, and I didn't understand the cloud.
My blue light glasses.
I didn't understand the cloud.
It's hard when the button says record, like you don't know what button.
It's not red.
So you're
exactly.
So you're crushing it. Great job.
It's going great.
Yeah. And you're loving the work.
Let's do it. Yeah.
And so year 3, guess what he implements? Project success.
Yes, I did.
Look at that. Yeah. So shout out to Bethany Harrington, who's teaching Project Success at your middle school.
Keeping it alive.
And her mother, Kelly Phillips, who helped create the program.
Not just keeping it alive, thriving, surviving, changing, and adapting.
And you're going
to the next phase.
And
I love it.
You're going to expand it.
Yep.
So all you middle school educators out there, if you want to know more
There's a better way.
If you want to know more about Project Success, it's alive and well. Reach out to Peter Gray.
Self-contained learning communities.
Yeah. I don't really have that much to share.
You have a new
gig. So, I'd, been a school-based guy for.
You left the principalship.
27 out of 31 years. And I left the high school principalship in June. And I will say I had a great sign off. The community where I was working and the staff and everybody. It was
clap down, man.
Yeah,
whole school clap.
It was a nice clap.
It was quite the experience. The kids
tears were shed.
Oh yeah, it's pretty amazing when you have seniors weren't there, so it was let's say 1,500 kids clapping me out of the building.
What was it like the first week of school where you were not in a school? Knowing that if probably you're not going to be working through like pre-service again?
That's a good question. It's already almost January, so some of those feelings have faded. I really, being the people part of being in a school, kids and adults, is just what always
the energy is.
Yeah, I mean, it just filled my glass every day. That's what I loved about it. I will say that I do get my. I'm in schools a lot in this new job, and I try to interact with kids as much as I can. I think the one thing that happens when you leave a school, especially as a principal, is you build a team in a school, and you're the leader of that team, and I don't have that. I miss that the most, and the people that you work with very closely every day in a school. So that was by August, I was starting to kind of have withdrawals with that. But then, as we know, you two know better than anybody, the school year starts. You don't really have a lot of time to cry in your coffee. So I've been busy. Have you
had any funny interactions with kids?
I actually,
like,
who are you?
No, the kids are I mean, I love going into elementary school.
Yeah, the energy is cool.
I've been.
Do you know how Robbie described himself once to me?
Oh, I want to know.
What did I say? This is
good. This is good.
He like a principal was out sick or something, so like he filled in at some point. He said, "I'm in elementary school. God."
That's perfect.
I can't see that actually. Yeah, I can't. I love you guys know. You have little kids. I love little kids.
Yeah,
I've always had a thing for little kids. And and then I ended up loving big kids, kind of. So I was doing a supervisory visit, and part of it was a walkthrough. I was at this really outstanding elementary school, great instruction going on. I'm sitting in a second grade classroom, no, third grade classroom. And I'm at this clamshell table. This one little girl is sitting there, and she's got her Chromebook. And I didn't have my reading glasses on. So her screen was about like where yours is. And she was trying to do a multiplication problem, and she was trying to use an array on the screen. And I couldn't really see the array, but the array was wrong. And so therefore the problem she was doing was wrong. And I think she had 8 times 9 as 63. And so I was having a hard time understanding the array. And there was a math instructional specialist from the central office that was also walking around the room observing. And I ended up saying to the little girl, well, I think there were multiple ways she was supposed to solve the problem. So I ended up whipping out my phone, and we did it together on the computer. Right when I was finishing,
grandpa comes along.
The math instructional specialist comes over, and she's like, Dr. Dodd, what are you doing? And I was like,
I'm helping her.
And the little girl was thrilled, and she had the answer. So that was
great.
Yeah, that was a recent story. And it was.
Let me share
fun.
one story about the clap out, and then we'll move to that.
Clap out. You weren't even there.
You showed me the video.
Oh, I did. Yeah, I did. Did I share the video? That's
the video. No, it was
very good,
very nice.
Very heartwarming.
I was like, oh my gosh. So we in the first question, it's like, wow, it must have been such an emotional experience or whatever. And then we show him walking out to his car. And my next question was, I was like, did you have to go back into school after that? He's like, yeah.
It was kind of a ending.
Yeah,
it really felt like I should have been able to drive off.
Not drive on.
No,
So for all you that may be so fortunate, put your stuff in your car like an hour before your last day before you leave, just in case. You don't feel awkward going back into school.
That's okay.
That was amazing. And then a dear friend of yours who worked with me for 4 years was appointed principal, Mr. Greg Miller.
Mm-hmm.
And I had the good fortune of training him and working with him, collaborating with him for over 4 years. So that even made it more special.
Yeah.
That
huge win.
He was appointed principal, and he's doing a great job. So, so I like the new gig. Johnny's 21 and he's home from college, and Nora is almost 16.
Wow.
And is in 10th grade, and we're doing great.
It's crazy.
We're not doing anything as bougie as skiing like you. But we're all glad to be together for the holidays.
Nice.
Yep. So that's it. So for our listeners, that
was our 5-minute recap. Woo! We're gonna keep the intro real
tight,
real short and tight.
Yeah, so let's get into this piece.
Let's talk about the serious candidates for our federal government. Major cabinet positions.
So I got to give another shout out to
Freddie,
Deputy Chief of Staff of the Seattle City Public Schools, Mr. Eric Gersey, sent me this article. He's the one that very kindly said we have a production problem. He was a little bit appalled that I didn't know Frederick Hess. Have we done pieces?
Oh yeah,
definitely.
Yes,
okay,
absolutely.
what is wrong with me?
Yes, yeah.
He writes stuff that is
it's
good to talk about.
Yeah,
because it's
usually ridiculous.
Yeah,
it is.
But, okay, he will throw like little, just sort of like incendiary nuggets.
Yeah,
it's like, okay, reasonable argument, then there's like reasonable argument.
Okay. So I'm understanding that he's fairly conservative.
Is that so? The American Enterprise Institute would be.
Yeah. That's where he is.
Yeah.
So SecEd nominee Linda McMahon has the right background for the job. As Mr. Crable said, Fred Hess, December 13th, 2024. Stories on Linda McMahon, President-elect Donald Trump's nominee to be Secretary of Education, keep featuring headlines like, "Education is not entertainment. What this educator wants Linda McMahon to know." It's thoroughly irrelevant when it comes to her qualifications for the office. Essentially, Hess goes on to say that, and I didn't really know this. I mean,
good point.
He basically said the Department of Ed is like a
mega bank,
a malfunctioning mega bank that really is only focused on loans with a boutique policy group attached to it. And that her experience as the builder and a leader / manager of $1 billion enterprise, which I guess for our listeners, Linda McMahon is married to, and this shows my age because the whole wrestling thing was passed me by.
Yeah, I never was into
Vince McMahon. I don't really know much.
Were you?
Well, when I was a kid, my best friend Donald Zeeler used to sit and watch Capitol Wrestling on his black and white TV at his kitchen table.
Wow.
And I do remember Stone Cold Steve Austin. I remember when he came onto the scene, but then, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Craig.
20-year gap in there.
Yeah, but in the 90s and the early, it really took off, right?
I think so. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I can remember Hulk Hogan and Steve Austin and those guys, but then it got to be this huge, money-making monster.
Yeah.
And she was obviously involved in building the company.
Her and Vince.
And Vince has, I think, had some well-documented issues, which are not appropriate for this show. But Hess goes on to say, little of the activity that is conducted at the department has much to do, Mr. Siddons, with K-12 schooling. The federal government is only responsible for about 10% of K-12 spending, and most of that money flows through two programs, which I think he should acknowledge are very important, special education and Title I. And then he says, it's hard not to argue that man's experience building a multi-billion-dollar business and her successful tenure, which I didn't know. Did you guys know she was the head of the Small Business Administration during the first?
Only when this got.
Yeah,
you learned it when she got this job. Okay. Yeah. So given what the department actually does and the shape that it's in, one could plausibly argue that McMahon's background makes her one of the best equipped nominees in its 45-year history. So it sounds like, is it safe to say that she's a more serious, I have a hard time saying this, she's a more serious person than Betsy DeVos as far as her qualifications and background, or is this just another clown show?
I think it's a more serious pick, but I don't know. It's hard to. The administration just has a background of just throwing the most radical people and hope that they.
In this case, that was. I mean, if you looked at some of the other names that were put forward as potential nominees.
I didn't see the other names.
They were, I mean, the lady that started Moms for Liberty.
She was.
I just assumed they would shut it down and not have any nominee. Like, why would they put a nominee in if they're planning on shutting it down?
I don't think there's any. I don't think that's real.
Where are you going to farm out the loan structure to? What other federal?
I don't think that matters to certain people. They want to shut it down and then deal with the.
But it's billions and billions of dollars that have to be managed.
Well, that's something that you brought up is I think you brought it up in conversations earlier is the people that would be most impacted about this are Title I schools and specifically super poor areas in the South, which are dominated by Republican senators and governors who would raise a stink fest if it were shut down and they would lose that funnel of money. Right? I mean,
I don't
know. I mean, I think in the article, I do think that his point that I resonated the most with me is having a background in education is not necessarily all that relevant. You're running an enormous bureaucracy. Now, he kind of poo-poos on like K-12 superintendents, which I disagree with because I do think if you're a K-12 superintendent of a system of any size, you're running an enormous bureaucracy.
Right.
and the parallels between the two are fairly similar. Truth be told, I don't know the breakdown of the number of employees in the Department of Education that run the loan program
Right.
versus the ones that run the research and policy-based ones. But I do think in looking back on the 4 years with DeVos, one thing that became very clear was one, how hard it is to change anything,
Yeah.
and not just in education. And two, so her whole thing was vouchers and getting kids out of public education and into private schools. Well, at the end of the day, how much movement was there in 4 years on that?
Yeah.
And grizzly bears.
Yeah. And crazy. Bears.
You know, more crazy bears, we had that. But as for the others, incremental at best. Didn't radically change
No.
the system in any way, shape, or form.
But does that lend itself to the fact that position can't make those changes?
In many ways, yes. And so I think if I were in their position, and when you think about like what the power that the Department of Education does have, think back to No Child Left Behind.
Mm-hmm.
And what they can do is they can have federal money that is not in either of those two programs and say, if you don't comply with XYZ, you will not get this money.
Yeah.
And my guess, based on the amount of attention paid to this particular issue, is I think that they're sort of the thing that they're going to come back to repeatedly and use the carrot and the stick for federal money is going to have to do with transgender students.
Yeah, Title IX and stuff like that.
I think
Yeah.
transgender students in boy or girl sports, like whatever one, and then bathrooms.
Mhm.
I think that is going to be the calling card.
Yeah.
Only because that really in the last 6 months, that's what they've talked about.
Yeah.
It's pretty
Again and again.
It's pretty remarkable to think that NCLB was 23 years ago,
Mhm.
Yeah.
right? Which doesn't sound that long, but 2002 was a
Lifetime ago.
long time ago,
Yeah.
generation ago. And I mean, in a way, from NCLB to Race to the Top was kind of, in a way, a high watermark for federal accountability in with that money in those resources you're talking about. And I can't see, certainly in the next 4 years, or maybe even in my lifetime, who knows, there ever being a bipartisan federal education bill
Yeah.
like No Child Left Behind
Yeah.
was. I mean, it's going to come down to the divisive culture war issues that
Yeah.
you're referring to, but that either political party could come together and have any coherent approach to public ed seems just like a bridge too far to me.
And I think you have one side that says, let's improve public education, but no real proposals on how to do that.
Yeah.
And the other one that says, take students out of public education
Yeah.
and put them in private schools.
And they're going to try that again.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, and that was that. But to your point, that was DeVos's whole point. And some would say that really began with NCLB because there were provisions in the law that started that kind of, let's give as many options as possible for parents to pull their kids out of low performing schools.
Yep.
But one other thing I want to mention, I was stunned. 4,000 employees.
Yeah.
That's a
Did
lot.
you guys know
I
that?
did not know that.
No. Didn't.
That is a large agency.
Yeah.
So.
And the other issue I thought of too that has come up again and again is parent rights.
Oh yeah, that's a big one.
That's a big one. Now I don't know exactly.
That's Glenn Youngkin's thing in Virginia.
What policies are you enacting at a federal level,
Right.
or coercing states to do that increased parent rights? That's like, it's very hard to legislate that and policy that from that level down to the individual schoolhouse.
I don't know enough about I mean, I think we just all know based on our experience that education is really a local concern. I would wonder though, so let's say Trump acts on deportations. Does the Department of Education have any stance on children in schools being deported?
Right.
Because if you're Linda McMahon, I would think you'd have to have some position in support of the president of, we're gonna,
Yeah.
we're gonna have undocumented kids that one day are going to be in schools and not. So I'll be curious to see about how those things
Yeah,
intersect.
I not thought about that.
Because that's going to be, I mean, we've already seen and we've heard, I haven't really seen it firsthand, but I've heard that, you know, there's increasing concern in communities about how that's going to play out, as there should be.
Yeah. I think another thing to think about it too is like the increasing disconnect of people with this kind of federal agency, where it's like, how many people have had any interaction with the Department of Education that they can think about?
I have. It's called FAFSA.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a thing.
So
No, of course, but I'm saying like
run a disaster. And
Yeah, I don't want to talk about it. I mean, our listeners don't want to hear about it.
okay.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is like it's a disconnect.
But as a
of-
parent, I've experienced it, and it's a very difficult process.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. What I was saying is like it's a disconnect that the country is going through about what does the government do for the people. And when they see that there's 4,000 employees and they're like, well, I'm never really interacted with the Department of Education, right? I don't see the benefit of it.
Yeah.
I think it calls into question of what role is it serving and how is it providing value to schools and to the country. And obviously we have seen some of that value in our day-to-day work, but I think it does call into question how we think about that.
Yeah.
Well, half the country voted for Trump, and Trump has said repeatedly all the time. I mean, you know, he says a lot of things that he doesn't mean or do, but he said that he'd get rid of it.
Right.
And so, I mean, there's a lot of people out there that think if he says it needs to be gotten rid of, they believe that.
Yeah.
So at least half the country doesn't think it has a purpose.
Yeah.
Which is discouraging.
Yeah, I think so.
Right? I mean,
Yeah. And sorry, I'm just going to keep throwing out issues that I can think of that like, oh, they're going to do this. I think DEI is going to be another issue.
Oh yeah.
yeah, it's a big
Yep.
issue.
Yeah. And probably rolling back of forms of affirmative action or race-based emissions or anything along those lines. My guess is that'll be another.
I think you'll see a laundry list of attempts to ban books in schools
Well,
from the Department of Education.
I think
I
think they wouldn't try.
I think one of the most important, and I don't know how the agency is, I don't know the offices or departments that it consists of, but I do know that its civil rights arm is important.
Yeah.
And has been important
Yeah.
for a long time.
Yeah.
And I could see, you know, I think DeVos neutered that did everything she could. But again, you know, we've had a zillion conversations on this show about no matter the educational organization or institution, they seem to be resistant to change. So they have a way of surviving and maintaining the status quo.
Right.
And you know, how many times have people come into Washington and said, we're going to get rid of the waste and we're going to cut people and we're going to reduce
Every dollar is going to be accounted for.
Correct.
Yeah.
And it now Elon Musk is on the job.
Right.
Hey,
So
and Ramaswamy.
what
They're on it.
what a pairing. All right. So I guess we'll see. I don't know. We haven't really done because I mean, we did a lot of prep for this show.
Well, listen, I just want you to know I do have a good ending for the show. The
You
episode.
do?
I do.
But what I was going to say is we don't really have any dirt on McMahon.
No.
So we're going to have to
We're
gonna have to
a little bit
find
of white seas and seasies.
Well, it'll come to light.
I mean, we could Vince has apparently provided plenty of dirt.
I don't know if any of that is related to his education stance
Right.
or his family's personal view on public education, though.
All right.
All right, you ready?
All right. So do we, this is
You
the,
ready for the close?
I like the,
This
I,
is the
li-
wild
I
card.
like these. Is this a 40-minute show or a half-hour show?
I don't know.
What are we,
I
what
think
time?
2 hours.
It's definitely 2 hours.
Okay.
All right, you ready?
Quiz?
I had
you
some
do it?
help with a quiz.
Oh, you
Ready?
did you use ChatGPT?
I did.
Oh my God.
Me a quiz.
I haven't looked
I
at it.
knew you were doing that over
I
there.
haven't looked at it. I wasn't contributing enough, so
All right. So,
I'm not as smart as you two.
okay, I got it. All right.
Who wants to go first? I have 6 questions.
Well, could you give us some background on the quiz first? I
It's
typically
the
win. It
ultimate-
doesn't really matter.
It came up with its own title, the ultimate
Great.
and totally serious Department of Education quiz.
Okay, this is good. Grable, you want to go first?
Yes, I would like to.
I won the last quiz in February.
You still have the trophy on your wall.
All right. I don't even know if these are factual. I have no idea if they have any. Anyway,
Okay, let's find
number
out.
one, which of the following is the true mission of the Department of Education? A, to ensure all students are educated equally and fairly. B, to make sure every school has at least one broken copier. C, to train students in the ancient art of correctly folding a fitted sheet.
I'm going to go with A.
It's actually B, because we've all seen that copier. The answer is B.
Okay.
2.
So he's
This is really good.
he's over for one.
This is so good. 2, which of these is definitely a real job title at the Department of Education? A, Deputy Assistant Secretary for Strategic Initiatives and Ham Sandwich Logistics. B, Undersecretary of Homework Collection and Excuse Verification. Or C, Chief Officer of Acronym Creation and Overly Complicated Memos.
Oh, I'm going with 3. I'm going with C.
Yeah, I'm going to C.
D is correct, because who else comes up with acronyms like ESSA and FERPA?
This is good.
He chose ChatGPT to make a cheeky quiz, or what?
I did.
Have you tried to say FAFSA? It's like saying Brett Favre.
Favre.
Yeah,
All right, you got one for 3.
Okay.
Number 3, if you accidentally,
I got that right.
These are all my
This is
questions.
all his
So
questions.
you erroneously,
Oh, did I
You
get
helped
that?
him.
Did I go
Helped
out
him.
of turn?
If you-
You're not.
if you'd been paying attention to the eye contact the case he was making,
Oh, you gave a lot of act on it. 3, if you accidentally call the Department of Education, what will happen? A federal agent shows up to audit your childhood report cards. B, you'll be automatically transferred to your old math teacher to explain why you never learned algebra. Or C, you'll be put on hold for 7 to 12 business
or
years.
C.
C is correct, but if you stay in the line long enough, you might hear smooth jazz.
Right with you.
This is good. You ready?
Good. It's
Can you
good.
call the Department of Education?
I'll ask that.
They got to have a line.
I'll ask that next. All right.
It's-
Number 1.
I mean, can you call the Social Security Administration?
Yeah, I guess so.
I think you can.
I
don't know.
I am.
All
Listen,
right, Dr. Disc.
I'm pro federal government. I know they have their weaknesses.
Number 1, which of these is not part of the Department of Education's annual budget? A, school safety grants. B, 3,000 gallons of coffee for teacher survival. C, glow-in-the-dark hallway floor stickers for maximum educational vibes.
I'm going to go with coffee B.
Answer is C,
Nah, definitely C.
but honestly, they should consider it. Nope, that's actually
You
ChatGPT.
got to get the tone of the
That's true.
quiz here.
I know.
Number 2,
So-
which of the following phrases will get you promoted to Secretary of Education? A,
By the way, I think there's like 20 undersecretaries.
no.
I think there are.
A, I can spell superintendent without looking it up. This is the following phrase will get you promoted to Secretary of Education. B, I know all the acronyms in education and can use them in a sentence. Or C, I survived a PTA meeting with no casualties. I know this one.
This will get you promoted to secretary.
I'm-
You know this one?
Let me get. What do you guess? Yeah.
What was A again?
I can spell superintendent without looking it up.
I'm going to go with A.
That was B.
B is correct. Mastery of education acronyms is basically a superpower. And number 3,
I'm actually pretty good at that.
I know.
Yeah.
If you visit the Department of Education headquarters, you will most likely find A, a giant scroll listing every ungraded essay still waiting for feedback. B, a room where teachers scream into pillows between classes. Or C, an entire wing dedicated to posters with motivational quotes from fictional characters.
I'm going with B.
What do you think?
It's
What do
probably,
you mean?
it's
This is
probably
my
C, but it should be
question.
It's
B.
A.
Oh, it should have
Because
been.
the essays never end.
Did I go
Oh,
for? Did I go 0 for 3?
You went 0 for
Oh,
3.
sad.
What grade will go 2 for 3?
2 for 3. Yeah.
The Cookies boys.
That was good. And so that was. Are we gonna have on the next episode? Are we gonna have? We need to have some discussion about ChatGPT.
We absolutely do, because it is the best thing ever.
Let's ask Chat GPT about the discussion we should have about Chat GPT on
Okay.
the podcast.
I'll submit that to it.
Meta.
Yeah.
It is it's kind of a game changer
It
as
is,
far as. I mean, I don't know how
Danger in terms of writing dumb emails.
and responding to complaints from the public. No, just kidding. I've never done that. But it is for the work that's kind of, I don't know, drudgery, and because there's a certain amount of,
Yeah, it's time consuming.
Yeah.
It's like,
and we do, and I think I'm not sure people understand. I don't know if it's like I only know education, but when you do what we do, there's a fair amount of writing
There is.
in the profession.
Mhm.
And some days you got it, and some days you don't.
That's right.
Some days you just need to do it fast.
Yep.
And I have really enjoyed using it.
I mean, just coming up, brainstorming topics for discussion.
Oh, yeah.
Or whatever, like based on these topics or these ideas that were emailed or whatever. I mean,
I think
it's incredible.
One of the things I love that I've used it for is coaching questions.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll give it ideas or kind of evidence or notes and say, what are some really good questions based on this that I can ask a principal? Man, it comes up with good stuff.
We have kids take a survey, how best they learn and what gets in the way of their learning. And I just took all 1,000 responses, just the responses, no identification. Give some patterns of what students are saying that gets in the way of their learning.
Wow.
And it's like amazing.
And because it wasn't like a agree, disagree. It was like they wrote something.
It was long form.
Oh my God.
And you put all the kids' names in it so that it knows all the
No.
I thought you did.
I did not put their names in. I just took their response.
Just their student IDs.
All right.
No, just that column. I copied and pasted their actual written words.
Putting survey data in there and having it.
It would take someone years.
Yeah, you would do it.
I would do it.
We know you would do it.
This seems like a useful task for the next 6 hours.
All right, Mr. Krabs. Well, I always do this. And we're not really supposed to do this on the show, but how long do you think it's going to take before you edit this show? And
it'll be out.
Will it be pre-Christmas?
Yeah.
Can I?
We'll have it out on Monday, the 23rd.
Okay, so when we sign off on this episode, I can say Happy Holidays.
Yes.
Okay.
Hope you have a good New Year.
All right. As always, Ed's Not Dead is brought to you by Ed's Not Dead Media. And I just want our listeners to know that Ed's Not Dead Media still exists.
It does, absolutely. We're here.
Very important media space.
It is a full service educational media company focusing on leadership, instruction, and 21st century school reform. As we sit here and record, it's great to be back.
It is great.
And it's also great that we only have one school day left until a nice winter break. And so I know I speak on behalf of you guys, to all the educators out there, unplug, turn it off, right? Get away from school and enjoy time with family and friends. I know you guys are going to do that. Oh, yeah. Right?
Yep.
There's nothing like winter break.
There really isn't.
Nice.
But let's end on this.
Okay.
1, 2. Spring break, winter break.
Winter break.
Winter break. Longer.
I think I want to buck. I think I'm going to go spring break.
Wow.
I as a principal, spring break was just a sign of
the issue. My complaint is
light,
and I can fish.
It can. That's what I was wondering about.
Yes.
Sometimes it comes too late. When it's like the last week of
it's brutal. Yes.
That's not good.
Not good.
The Jan, Feb, March stretch
it could be a bit challenging.
We need a late February break.
100%.
Just like an extended break.
President's Day is not enough.
Not enough. No.
We don't. I mean, that is one nice thing about Thanksgiving is that it did feel like
free.
It is, and if we had the equivalent late winter,
that's what Boston schools in Massachusetts
do. They do that,
and they all do it. Yeah.
All right. All right. Well, we are back. Thanks for tuning into Ed's Not Dead. We will record again.
We will do it.
Right.
We got good. This is much. I think part of the issue was the process and what we were going to do.
Yeah, we've had to. Do we think
some equipment is
this thing even going to work?
I don't know. We're going to find out.
Okay.
Yeah, we just talked and just had a good time.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, we were kind of in between production systems.
Yeah.
Right.
Equipment. Yeah.
Equipment.
Yeah.
Really became Peter didn't want to carry things.
He did. That's that. Yeah, he totally.
Could you say this production equipment issue?
And we knew you weren't gonna like have any like production equipment.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't have
You
any.
have to do. Why do you have to make it about?
I don't have any, and you don't have any. He's the music guy. He has all the audio.
This is. I'm
He's the key master.
I'm doing the soundboard tonight. Look at this.
You're doing great, and
Okay.
I'm really proud of you.
Very
All right.
good job.
So I have to pull this up before we sign off. All right. Thanks so much for 7 years of listening. For those of you that are tuning in again, we've gotten lots of questions from loyal listeners.
We have.
Hey, what's up with the?
When are we
what's up-
starting again?
What's up with the ND? When's it coming back? So we're back, and we'll do better in 2025. For Peter, Casey, thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time. See you guys.